Now, spray gunning each other with as much dirt as they could possibly do, having spewed lovey-dovey stuff to each other for months on end.
Hollywood's golden girl Blake Lively just went from red carpet royalty to public enemy. What started as whispers about a Marvel-sized scam exploded into a legal war so shocking, even Piers Morgan called it the most damning takedown of a celeb I've ever seen. This isn't gossip. It's a story of deleted texts, A-list betrayals, and a $400 lawsuit that could end careers. Buckle up.
It was fascinating.
I mean, if even only half of what he's saying is true, Blake Lively is a complete nightmare.
For months, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds flooded social media with picture-perfect love stories portraying an idyllic marriage filled with witty banter, mutual admiration, and glamorous red carpet moments. Their carefully curated posts painted them as Hollywood's golden couple, charming, relatable, and deeply in love. From playful Instagram exchanges to heartwarming family moments shared with millions of adoring fans, the couple seemed to have it all. But behind the scenes, a starkly different narrative was brewing, one that threatened to shatter the polished facade they'd worked so hard to maintain.
Now, spray gunning each other with as much dirt as they could possibly do, having spewed lovey-dovey stuff to each other for months on end.
Insiders claim that Blake Lively's behavior on the set of a recent film project was anything but charming. Sources allege that she exerted overwhelming control over the production, demanding creative authority over nearly every aspect of the project. She reportedly took it upon herself to rewrite entire portions of the script, overriding the creative vision of the original writers and frustrating the production team with constant revisions. Costume designers, too, allegedly found themselves at odds with her, as she insisted on wardrobe changes that suited her personal taste rather than what was best for her character.
And that Justin Baldoni and the producer tried to harass this woman, this mad hatter who no sane man would go near with a 10-foot barge pole. It is so offensive and so ridiculous.
Her husband, Ryan Reynolds, typically known for his charismatic, easygoing persona, was said to have been pulled into the escalating tensions. With his own considerable influence in Hollywood, Reynolds reportedly sided with his wife in heated disputes, adding fuel to an already volatile situation. One of the most significant clashes came between Lively and director Justin Baldoni, who had a clear vision for the film and wasn't willing to compromise on its integrity. According to sources, Baldoni stood firm against Lively's attempts to dictate changes, leading to increasingly hostile interaction. As the disagreements intensified, Lively allegedly took the conflict to a personal level, refusing to back down, and escalating what had started as a creative dispute into something far more damaging.
If what he's alleging is true, she sounds like an absolute nightmare.
What might have remained an industry whisper quickly turned into a public spectacle when legal documents surfaced revealing that Blake Lively had filed a lawsuit against Baldoni. In the documents, she accused the director of unprofessional conduct on set, portraying herself as a victim of mistreatment and setting the stage for a dramatic legal showdown. The accusations were bold, suggesting that Baldoni's actions had created a toxic work environment, and her claims quickly gained traction among those eager to rally behind a female star calling out workplace misconduct.
Tried to take over and hijack the movie, and when she didn't get her way, she brought her much richer, more successful and powerful husband in to lay down the law.
However, the narrative she presented began to unravel under scrutiny. Baldoni, refusing to let the allegations go unchallenged, countered with receipts of his own. He provided unedited text messages and emails that painted a starkly different picture, one in which Lively had repeatedly praised his work, expressed gratitude for his leadership, and showed no signs of the hostility she later claimed. These messages, Baldoni argued, had been selectively edited and strategically presented by Lively's team to frame him as the villain in a carefully manufactured controversy.
If all of this is true, he's 100% justified in suing her. I don't know if it is, it's all coming out.
As the revelations emerged, public perception of the dispute began to shift. What had initially appeared to be a case of a female actress standing up against alleged mistreatment now looked more like an orchestrated attempt to control the narrative. Lively's credibility was called into question, with industry insiders and fans alike debating whether her allegations were legitimate concerns or a calculated move to discredit Baldoni and assert dominance over the project.
That he's now got a website dedicated to spilling the dirty laundry about his co-star. in the film. It's unprecedented.
The controversy has left Hollywood divided. Some have continued to support Lively, believing that there's more to the story than what has been publicly revealed. Others see Baldoni's evidence as damning proof that the actress manipulated the situation for her own benefit. Meanwhile, Ryan Reynolds' involvement, or lack thereof, has also raised eyebrows. While he initially stood by his wife's side, he has remained noticeably silent as the backlash grows, leaving many to wonder whether even he has begun to question the veracity of her claims.
I mean, it's shocking. In many ways, I'm quite glad for like new media and all of that, because I can imagine how many people in the past have been victim to the kind of stuff.
With the lawsuit still playing out and the truth buried beneath conflicting accounts, one thing is certain. The once flawless image of Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds has taken a significant hit. Whether they can recover from the scandal remains to be seen, but for now, Hollywood's golden couple appears to be standing on shaky ground.
That Blake Lively and her husband have pulled, now apparently in conjunction with Taylor Swift, who has oddly decided to distance herself from the couple.
Enter Piers Morgan, the outspoken media firebrand known for diving headfirst into Hollywood scandals with unapologetic gusto. Never one to shy away from controversy, Morgan seized the unfolding drama like a predator sensing blood in the water. Armed with a staggering 160-page evidence dump comprising leaked documents, insider accounts, and a trove of correspondence, he took direct aim at Blake Lively, peeling back the layers of what he claimed was her carefully orchestrated playbook of deception.
Look, I went through the 160-page timeline and evidence document that Justin published on his website in detail, as well as what he presented to the court, because it was fascinating.
According to Morgan, Lively's tactics were as calculated as they were ruthless. Selective editing of text messages to distort the truth and paint herself as the victim. Silencing detractors through aggressive legal threats, ensuring that those who opposed her stayed quiet. Leveraging her high-profile marriage to Ryan Reynolds as both a shield and a weapon, using their picture-perfect image to discredit any dissenting voices. In a scathing column that set the internet ablaze, Morgan didn't mince words. With his signature brand of brutal candor, he declared, "If even half of this is true, Blake Lively isn't a star. She's a con artist masquerading as one, fooling the public with a smile and a sob story." It was a bombshell accusation and one that sent shockwaves through Hollywood. Fans, critics, and industry insiders alike were left stunned, grappling with the possibility that Lively, once regarded as one of the most beloved actresses in the business, had been playing a long con.
This is an actress that was hired to be in the film, and yet she's asking the director, who's also her lead, for the cuts and the edits, and she's decided to take over the wardrobe, and she gets to choose her wardrobe and they pay for it. That's unprecedented. No one's ever heard of that.
While Morgan's expose was already explosive, the real smoking gun came in the form of leaked text messages between Ryan Reynolds and Justin Baldoni. These exchanges, dated before Lively's lawsuit against Baldoni, painted a very different picture than the one she had presented in court. In these messages, Reynolds showered Baldoni with praise, commending his creative vision, professionalism, leadership on set. The tone was warm, collaborative, even collegial, a clear indication that, at the time, Reynolds held no grievances against the director. In fact, the texts suggested a genuine mutual respect between the two men, completely contradicting the allegations Blake later put forth.
And then she has the audacity to call her husband and Taylor Swift her dragons.
But then came the lawsuit. And suddenly everything changed. Reynolds, once a vocal supporter of Baldoni, abruptly flipped his stance. As soon as his wife's accusations went public, he distanced himself from Baldoni, echoed Lively's claims of misconduct, aligned himself entirely with Blake's narrative. It was a stunning reversal, and fans were left reeling. What had caused Reynolds to turn on Baldoni so suddenly? Was it a genuine act of loyalty, a devoted husband standing by his wife in her time of need? Or was there something more insidious at play?
I mean, I urge everyone to just read through everything that Justin Baldoni
it is
put out.
utterly
It's shocking.
It's compelling.
For years, Reynolds and Lively had been Hollywood's golden couple, crafting an image that was equal parts aspirational and relatable. Their marriage was built on playful social media banter, red carpet perfection, and an illusion of effortless happiness. But now, with the weight of these contradictions bearing down on them, that polished veneer was beginning to crack. The The contrast between Reynolds' initial praise of Baldoni and his sudden about-face in support of his wife fueled a wave of speculation and distrust. Had he been complicit all along, enabling a lie to protect their shared empire? Or had he reluctantly fallen in line, pressured by the need to preserve the brand they had so carefully cultivated?
The publicists involved, the actors involved, everybody involved seems to be absolutely horrible.
One thing was clear. The truth behind Hollywood's favorite couple was far more complicated than the fairy tale they had sold to the public. And as Morgan's report continued to gain traction, Blake and Ryan's once unshakable public image was now teetering on the edge of collapse. Justin Baldoni didn't just defend himself, he went nuclear, escalating the feud into a full-scale legal and public relations war that left no stone unturned. What had started as a behind-the-scenes power struggle had now erupted into one of the most explosive Hollywood legal battles in recent memory. Refusing to be cast as the villain in Blake Lively's carefully crafted narrative, Baldoni struck back with a vengeance, launching a jaw-dropping counteroffensive that shook the entertainment industry to its core.
Well, you say we haven't seen it before, but we kind of have with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. And
well, that's true, yeah, but that only came out in the end in court, right?
And, that was Johnny did something that I think a lot of people took notes to, like
yeah, that's true.
A receipt.
In a stunning move, Baldoni filed a $400 million countersuit against both Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, leveling accusations that reframed the couple not as victims, but as the architects of a deliberate, malicious campaign to destroy his career. The suit went beyond simply refuting their allegations. It accused the Hollywood power duo of conspiracy, alleging that Lively and Reynolds had actively coordinated an effort to undermine him. Defamation, claiming they had knowingly spread false information to tarnish his reputation. Reputational sabotage, asserting that they had hired a high-powered PR firm to push negative narratives about him to top media outlets. Baldoni's legal team didn't stop at accusations. They brought receipts. Mountains of evidence were presented, including leaked communications, internal PR strategies, and first-hand witness accounts that systematically dismantled the allegations against him. The lawsuit was nothing short of a direct assault on the credibility of Hollywood's golden couple, and for the first time, it was Lively and Reynolds, not Baldoni, who found themselves on the defensive.
He dropped all the evidence, and I think Team Justin, which, same PR rep who repped Johnny, was behind this. Blake sort of.
But the real twist lay buried deep within Baldoni's legal filings, a bombshell revelation that flipped the script entirely. Among the documents were a series of emails that exposed the true extent of Lively's alleged overreach. According to these leaked correspondences, Blake had demanded access to years' worth of Baldoni's private emails, an outrageous request that extended far beyond the scope of their professional dispute. Legal experts quickly weighed in, branding it a fishing expedition, not a search for truth. It became increasingly clear that Blake wasn't looking for justice. She was hunting for leverage, desperate to find anything she could weaponize against Baldoni.
Sort of saw that as, oh, you're trying to use an Amber Heard tactic, but she didn't even realize, like, that's not a good defense. That means you're guilty, because...
This revelation stunned the industry, shattering the already crumbling foundation of Lively's credibility. Instead of the wronged party, she now appeared to be the aggressor, willing to use any means necessary to control the narrative and bury Baldoni under the weight of manufactured controversy. The more the details unraveled, the more it seemed that her lawsuit was never about fairness. It was about power. The fallout for Blake was swift and merciless. As more damning evidence surfaced, her once loyal allies began to disappear into the ether, unwilling to risk their own reputations by standing beside her. One of the most shocking betrayals came from Taylor Swift, Lively's longtime friend and one of the most powerful figures in entertainment. Swift, who had once publicly celebrated her friendship with Lively, even featuring her in personal projects, suddenly went radio silent. No Instagram posts, no supportive statements, no words of encouragement. Nothing. The absence of Swift's defense was deafening. A strategic and deliberate move that spoke volumes.
Justin for dropping receipts, and I'm just sitting there like, how is this allowed? Like, Blake Lively dropped a lawsuit with all his texts, cherry-picked those texts, removed emojis.
Other co-stars followed suit, including Jenny Slate, who went a step further. Instead of staying quiet, Slate broke ranks entirely, stepping into the public eye to vocally defend Baldoni. In a series of candid interviews, she praised his professionalism, leadership, and character, directly contradicting Blake's claims of a toxic work environment. With the industry turning against her, Lively found herself isolated. The media narrative she had so carefully controlled was collapsing, replaced by a brutal new reality. Hollywood wasn't buying her story anymore. And then, as always, the internet took over. Within hours of Baldoni's legal counterattack, social media erupted with memes, commentary, and scathing criticism. One nickname, in particular, spread like wildfire: Blake Heard.
And like intent and backstory to these texts.
Literally outright deleted certain sections of the text.
Yes.
The comparison to Amber Heard, whose high-profile legal battle with Johnny Depp had ended in a catastrophic public reckoning, was instant and relentless. Twitter, Reddit, and Instagram lit up with side-by-side analyses highlighting eerie parallels between the two scandals. Like Heard, Lively had presented herself as the victim of a powerful man, only to have the receipts expose a different story entirely. The meme became a cultural shorthand for Lively's crumbling credibility. Circulating across media platforms at breakneck speed, her name, once synonymous with glamour and charm, was now being dragged through the digital mud, mocked, dissected, and memed into infamy.
100% took it all, is
It's so
re-edited, and now
incredible.
they're mad. They're mad at Justin for releasing the full context of those texts. It makes
And
no
the worst
sense.
part of all of this,
For years, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds had controlled their public image with near-flawless precision. But no amount of witty Instagram posts or carefully curated PR moves could undo the damage now. The truth was out, and Hollywood was watching the once untouchable couple face a reckoning of their own making. For years, Ryan Reynolds had meticulously crafted his nice guy persona. A brand built on self-deprecating humor, quick-witted charm, and an effortless relatability that made him one of Hollywood's most beloved leading men. Whether cracking jokes about his marriage to Blake Lively, exchanging playful jabs with Hugh Jackman, or embracing his irreverent Deadpool persona, Reynolds seemed untouchable. He wasn't just a movie star. He was the cool, funny, self-aware guy everyone wanted to grab a drink with. But as the scandal deepened, that image took a catastrophic nosedive.
and she got her husband's PR company that wasn't signed off by Sony to take over the promotion of the film. What did Ryan Reynolds have to do with this film?
The turning point came when leaked text messages surfaced, allegedly revealing a very different side of Reynolds, one that fans had never imagined. These messages, reportedly exchanged between Reynolds and Justin Baldoni, painted a picture of a man wielding his industry power in ways that directly contradicted his affable, easygoing public image. According to these exchanges, Reynolds had personally pressured Baldoni to relinquish control of the film to Blake, urging him to step aside and let her take over. The messages suggested that Reynolds wasn't merely supporting his wife from the sidelines, he was actively intervening, using his influence to push her agenda.
What did Ryan Reynolds have to do with this film that Justin Baldoni's production team bought in the first place?
James,
I don't want to.
When Baldoni refused to bow to these demands, things escalated quickly. Insiders claim that Reynolds went ballistic, unleashing a torrent of frustration that revealed a darker, more controlling side. At the height of the exchange, Reynolds allegedly issued a veiled threat, hinting that he could pull funding from the project if Baldoni didn't comply. Given Reynolds' clout as a producer and A-list power player, this wasn't an idle comment. It was a clear flex of industry muscle, an attempt to force the director into submission. The leaks shattered the public's perception of Reynolds as the fun-loving, drama-free star. Fans were suddenly forced to grapple with an uncomfortable question. Was Ryan Reynolds simply a loyal husband fiercely defending his wife? Or was he a willing accomplice sacrificing his own reputation to help Blake rewrite the truth?
When I hear all that
originally-
kind of stuff, though, honestly, that's all been banned as well now. It's
But
like,
listen,
you can't. It's
a
like,
woman is trying to say she's uncomfortable, and then she's been hit with a retaliation.
As the backlash intensified, Reynolds and Lively attempted to salvage their crumbling image, but instead of damage control, their response poured gasoline on an already raging fire. For years, the couple's PR machine had been a well-oiled juggernaut, expertly balancing their playful social media personas with just the right amount of Hollywood glamour. But now, under the weight of scandal, the machine began to break down, badly.
You know what she could have done? She could have pulled out of the film and retained her $400 million fortune that she has with her husband.
Yeah.
She could have done that.
The tipping point came when Blake Lively launched a promotional campaign for her upcoming film, a project centered on domestic abuse. Given the heavy subject matter, the campaign demanded sensitivity and gravitas. Instead, what followed was a tone-deaf marketing disaster of jaw-dropping proportions. Rather than approaching the film with the necessary seriousness, Blake rolled out a glitzy, boozy promotional blitz, complete with cocktail pairings tied to her liquor brand. The campaign, intended to be stylish and engaging, framed the harrowing issue of domestic abuse as a chic, Instagrammable lifestyle choice.
And that's what's sad, is like they should all be basking in the glory of this film, and instead they just kind of kill each other.
The public's reaction was immediate and ferocious. Critics, activists, and fans alike tore into Blake for her tone-deaf approach, slamming her for trivializing trauma by pairing a film about abuse with liquor-based branding, monetizing pain, turning survivors' suffering into a marketing gimmick. Exploiting a serious issue for self-promotion, social media erupted in outrage, with hashtags like Blake Lively is over dominating Twitter. Memes, think pieces, and call-outs flooded the internet, branding her an opportunist, willing to commercialize a deeply personal and painful issue for the sake of brand synergy. The fiasco didn't just amplify the damage from the Baldoni feud, it exposed something far more damning. The cracks in Reynolds and Lively's carefully constructed empire weren't just from one scandal. Their entire public image was built on a foundation that was now collapsing.
Like, none of this was ever about making a good film. It was about power. It was about power. And now that power is backfiring. They tried to play it out in the public. That didn't work. They don't want Justin playing it out in the public.
For years, Ryan and Blake had been seen as the ultimate Hollywood power couple. Unproblematic, witty, effortlessly cool. But with the weight of scandal, hypocrisy, and PR misfires dragging them down, their once untouchable status was now in tatters. Reynolds, once Hollywood's most beloved leading man, now looked like a manipulative industry power player. Lively, once the darling of social media, was now a symbol of tone-deaf opportunism. As the dust settled, one thing became clear. Their empire wasn't just crumbling, it was imploding.
The only way Blake and Ryan could salvage what's left of their reputation, which they don't even realize, I truly don't think they realize how reviled they are. I don't think they realize they're losing.
Justin Baldoni's $400 million lawsuit looms like a financial guillotine over Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, threatening to decimate their fortune and dismantle their empire if it succeeds. Legal experts warn that even a partial ruling in Baldoni's favor could cripple the couple financially, forcing them to liquidate assets, forfeit lucrative deals, and potentially hemorrhage their once unshakable net worth. Though both Lively and Reynolds have amassed considerable wealth through blockbuster films, production companies, and high-profile endorsements, few celebrity fortunes could withstand a lawsuit of this magnitude. Even if they managed to settle out of court, the damages, both financial and reputational, would be severe.
If they did something that no litigious celebrity has ever done, which is come out and be like, we made a mistake. Suing someone is a nightmare. It's stressful, it's expensive, it's a life ruiner.
But as staggering as the monetary risk is, the real carnage lies in the wreckage of their reputations. Once revered as Hollywood royalty, the couple's names now carry a toxic taint. A simple Google search for Blake Lively tells the story in stark terms. Autofill suggestions like liar, fake, and scandal now dominate. A digital scarlet letter branding her fall from grace. An algorithmic reflection of public sentiment turning against her. Even Ryan Reynolds, once seen as Hollywood's most likable leading man, hasn't emerged unscathed. His nice guy image has been shattered, replaced by an unsettling narrative of backroom deals, industry intimidation, and blind loyalty to a crumbling facade. And then there's Piers Morgan, a man who thrives on public executions of celebrity egos. Never one to miss an opportunity for a knockout blow, Morgan distilled the entire saga into a brutal epitaph. They thought fame made them untouchable. They were wrong. His words reverberated across media platforms, echoed in headlines, think pieces, and late-night monologues. The message was clear. The invincible duo had finally been dethroned.
And you know what, dude? Even if we're right, it's not worth it. We're going to back away. I bet Justin would call off the dogs also.
Yeah, I mean, critical drinker. What's been fascinating to me.
But if anyone expected Blake Lively to bow out quietly, they were sorely mistaken. Instead of retreating, she's doubling down, not with calculated strategy, but with a desperation that teeters on reckless. In a frantic counteroffensive, unleashed a barrage of new lawsuits, targeting anyone who dares to challenge her version of events, from Baldoni's team to media outlets and even former colleagues who have spoken out. Granted a series of high-profile interviews where she leans heavily into a narrative of victimhood, framing herself as a martyr in a patriarchal industry hell-bent on silencing strong women. Invoked toxic masculinity, casting Baldoni and his supporters as perpetrators of institutional oppression, positioning herself as a misunderstood trailblazer rather than an actress caught in an escalating scandal. But the problem? Her counteroffensive isn't working. For every denial she offers, Baldoni responds with fresh evidence, leaked emails, damning text exchanges, first-hand witness statements that contradict her claims in real time. The sheer weight of proof against her has become a relentless tide, eroding her credibility with each passing day.
And I just remember reading all this stuff about Blake Lively, thinking, what's causing all this? Why is she getting all this hate? Because I love the film.
Even Blake's most diehard fans, once a legion of unwavering defenders, are beginning to crack. Where there was once blind devotion, there are now whispers of doubt. Where there was outrage on her behalf, there's now exhaustion. Online fan forums, once echo chambers of support, are now filled with open admissions of skepticism. The conversation has shifted from defense to disbelief. I wanted to believe her, but the evidence is overwhelming. This isn't a comeback, it's a disaster. She's digging her own grave, and no one can stop her. Attempts to rewrite the narrative have only made it worse, exposing a pattern of deflection, evasion, and increasingly desperate PR spin. And so, Hollywood watches in stunned silence, witnessing one of the most dramatic celebrity downfalls in recent history. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, once the untouchable golden couple, now stand at the edge of ruin. And with each misstep, lawsuit, and failed PR the hole Blake is digging only grows deeper, and the curtain on their empire is falling. Blake Lively's saga isn't just about Hollywood egos. It's a warning. In the age of receipts, no one's safe from the truth. Will Blake and Ryan survive this, or will their $400 M gamble bury them for good? One thing's certain, this scandal's nowhere near done. Want the full story? Smash subscribe. Rumor has it, Baldoni's about to leak even darker secrets.